welcome to the show. Today I have a very prominent and an anchor person, Mr. Farukh Patafi, with me, and we are going to discuss about the ongoing operation in Balochistan um, against the Indian terrorists who have been operating for a long time. Thank you very much, Mr. Patafi, for joining. Please kindly tell me that do you think that the operation Shaban will fulfill the requirements and the desires and the objectives that Pakistani forces and security forces have started this operation against the terrorists who want to destabilize not only Balochistan but the entire Pakistan?
Thank you very much, Waheed Sahab, for the question and the opportunity. I think that as far as an analyst can predict, I've seen the kind of resolve which was lacking in many years, many past years. So I think that there is this commitment that all these terrorists will be brought to the book. But we still have to wait and see. There are many variables. Remember, Balochistan borders Iran. In Iran, a war is going on. And while Pakistan did whatever it could to pacify the situation, a war breaks out every now and then. So that side is very unstable. Similarly, when you talk about Afghanistan, Afghanistan has become a hotbed of terrorism focused on Pakistan and also other countries. So, frankly, Pakistan, and given the fact that Afghan Taliban and all these groups are also now being actively aided by India. So, in that situation, you have limitation of resources, but you have no depth or dedication and commitment. So we keep on hoping that situation is going to get better and these operations are going to succeed. Yes, wait, sir.
Well, these Afghan Taliban, which is an interim government, I don't know. The word interim mean that something which is temporary, but for last almost 5 to 6 years, um, maybe 5 years, this government is sitting in Kabul, but in fact they have broken all the promises that they made, not only with the international community, with the Americans, but also with the neighbors like Pakistan. Why these Taliban have, gone so far to collide with the Indians and destabilizing Pakistan, supporting, organizations like TTP and BLA?
Yeah, that is a very good question. Remember that there are many anomalies here. You call them an interim government. I don't know what law actually brought them into power. Can you name any constitution which gave them the kind of mandate that they are enjoying today? They are essentially usurpers, people who have been actually battle hardened by terrorism, a ragtag band of thugs who actually formed a government and took over, right? So that is the first thing, and this is exactly why when they were taking over, I was one of the loudest voices saying that once they come into power, and once the ISAF withdrawal takes place, it will become a problem that will not be easy to solve because Afghanistan actually sits at the fault lines of three major powers, right? It borders China, then it is very close to the extended footstep of Russia, and of course America also has influence. Then India keeps on trying to do whatever it does, and finally you have Iran also. So with all those elements and their conflicts, it was clear that once they come to power, it will become very difficult to handle them. And then, because India is very good at propaganda, and remember that India's current NSA, Ajit Doval, one few months before his takeover of office, he actually made a speech at Shastra University where he categorically said that all these people are mercenaries. All you have to do is pay them more and they will be on your side. So they seem to have concocted a kind of narrative where they keep on blaming Pakistan for their own misfortunes and their own bad habits in the past 40, 50 years. And then they used their country as a staging ground against Pakistan. So that is a known. Now, why don't other, international elements actually take action? Because A, India has huge clout. B, also because they have their own interest, and they are trying to ensure that situation doesn't worsen to such an extent that their interest, for example, China has a substantial investment in Afghanistan. Similarly, Russia also has the kind of investment. Afghanistan sits on top of $1 trillion worth of mineral deposits. So every country is actually calculating, recalibrating. But the problem is because India has gotten to TTA, Afghan Taliban, they use them, they play them against us repeatedly. And that's why I keep on saying that now we have to keep on hardening the border and ensure that these elements, if they're there, on one side we take direct action, on the other, of course, we try to use diplomacy. But you have to have an intelligence-based, process also, some kind of gray zone activity to make the cost of both Indians and Afghans very high, so that they don't think of meddling in Pakistan's affairs. Yes, Faisal.
What options Pakistan does have, in the given circumstances when it comes to the safe havens that the TTA along with the TTP has established along Pakistani borders, both with KPK as well as with Balochistan.
Yeah, the story is even bigger than only TTP's, safe havens. Remember that in early 2020s, we saw Pakistan's NSA actually handing out a dossier in which he showed that TTP and BLA have formed a kind of alliance and other Baloch separatist movements also. And all of that is being financed by India. That actually has continued even to this day. So there are hideouts, and Pakistan needs to actually take action and keep on consulting with its partners, with Chinese, with the US, with Iran, even Russia. But the problem is that right now, what I see is that you'll have to actually engage in a very protracted, intelligence campaign to ensure that these elements are dismantled, and there is a counter point to them. Yes, wait a
How okay, when it comes to the managing our own Balochistan province, because the size of the province is very huge. It's almost 44% of the entire country. Uh,
yeah.
do you think that the administrative and the security structure that do we have at the moment, uh, we have to bring some kind of a changes into it, because the size is very big, and we have to have a new kind of a management system when it comes to the administration as well as the security.
Right. That is a very good question. First of all, 44% of of the territory is counted when you don't actually count the coastal belt. If you include that, then the total size actually exceeds 50% of Pakistan's landmass. And that is not all. Their population is really sparse, right? Less than a few million. Because of that, there is, and don't forget the topography. The topography of the region is quite also rugged and difficult to reach. So people find ways to stop there, hide there as well. What you can do is you can actually, in consultation with your partners, for example, China has amazing satellites, right? And it can be trained at anything at any moment. Similarly, you can use from West, you can borrow or you can get good drones to ensure that there is policing in the air. That said, then you have to essentially actually focus on hearts and minds, not hearts and minds of these elements who are actually attacking and killing innocent citizens, but then the common man on the street. Unfortunately, it seems that while we keep on talking about that, and the government of Pakistan invests hugely in the province, we haven't seen the kind of dividends of that narrative that we needed. Narrative has to be so simple that a second grader can comprehend it and then embrace it also. Then you add incentives to ensure that those people have the kind of ecosystem that supports them. We have seen that while we have actually tripled our efforts, the enemy also has double, tripled their, investment and their efforts also. So what we have to do is, first of all, when it comes to a cancer, what you do is immediately you go for surgeries to ensure that the most malignant part is out, and then you go for chemo, you go for other efforts to ensure that the entire body is saved from that particular part in it. So those elements who have poisoned certain parts of Balochistan, they have to be taken out. That's why this operation is so important. And after that, you can actually essentially take care of the culture, of the demography, also economics of the region, and then of course developing a healthy dialogue with the state, which the state keeps on doing, but the political element has been missing in the past. Right now, we have a very dedicated chief minister, but what about his cabinet? What about the bureaucracy? What about common man on the street, right? Who is associated with the state itself? So you need all elements to come together, and that is why, Parisap, I was so worried when Narendra Modi went to his trial, and within 40 hours of that visit's conclusion, is a trial attacked on Iran. It seemed that India wanted us to fight with Iran because of our agreement with Saudi Arabia. And once the war had actually begun and had actually escalated, then India could very happily actually focus on both Irani and Pakistani Balochistan and try to actually, take it away from us. That did not happen because of our leadership, but we have to be very, very circumspect. We have to be very vigilant, and we have to keep working in tandem with the state of Pakistan and the authorities. Yes, sir.
Okay, Abe, do you think that naturally you have already pointed out our closeness with the Iranians, our closeness with Saudi Arabia, and the way Pakistan played a very significant and wise role during all these conflicts. I would like to you to please comment on the present state of Middle East. Why the Americans, they are just saying that we are attacking Iranian assets and various places only because they have been their Revolutionary Guard is attacking the commercial vessels which are passing through the strait. So, do you think that it is a temporary controlled, or it is going to extend like we had a war, and this temporary MOU or this ceasefire, which they called it, it is going to be eliminated with the passage of time?
Right. First of all, there's this element of, as you pointed out, talk, talk, fight, fight. So I wanted to actually use your platform to really appreciate two people, and their vision seemed to have saved the situation. One is three people actually. One is our CDF, our army chief. The other is our prime minister. But the third man, who's very, very sane, is MBS of Saudi Arabia, Prince Mohammed bin Salman, whose smarts have ensured that this region does not escalate into a regional war which could have consumed all the Arab countries. Remember that the way Iran kept on attacking various countries, for example, Kuwait, and then UAE, and even Oman, which is actually considerably closer to its position. Despite that, GCC has shown a lot of wisdom in showing restraint. The original plan is there was a conspiracy, was to ensure that all of them start fighting, and then this region would actually destroy itself. All Muslims would be taken care of, Iran, Pakistan, Arab countries, and whatnot. And then this Islamophobic alliance of India and Israel could, influence the region. The US could also be forced to pull out of this region. So right now, the status is that it is talk, talk, fight, fight. But I think that if Indian lobby is so strong that it has interest in the US, it might even have interest in various other countries, including Israel, even Pakistan perhaps, then why would you think that they have no influence in Iran with whom they kept on working so closely? So India's technique is very simple. Don't align yourself with the softies or for that matter moderates. Align with the hardliners because they are excitable and you can use them. So do you honestly think that IRGC, which was so infiltrated by Israelis that their own people were dying at the hands of their own people, they wouldn't have a component of Indian influence? So India keeps on actually, on one side, it keeps on staying silent. On the other side, it keeps on actually aiding all the hotheads in the region that they fight. And if that actually happens, I think for next 2 3 months we have to be very vigilant because as the Israeli elections are taking place, the U.S. elections are taking place. India also has to conclude many FTAs with various countries. So because of that, there might be this element that wants to destroy this region, and we have to be vigilant. So right now, to answer your question, I think the situation is volatile. I do believe in the end in the wisdom of President Trump, of the Iranian president also, and of course GCC leaders. But the problem is there are two bad apples in the story. One is Israel's current government, and the second one is India's government. And you cannot actually think that there is any bad thing or a cheap tactic they will not use. Yes, Bhaig sir.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Mr. Farukh Patafi, for your time. Anchor person with PTV and a senior writer contributing to the national and international print media and other media. Thank you very much for your time, please.